There comes a strange silence in life when the phone stops ringing. Not because people are busy, not because the world ended, but because slowly, quietly, people move on. And one day you wake up in a room so quiet you can hear your own regrets breathing. I know that silence. I lived with it for years. At first, I thought living alone was punishment. I thought it meant I had failed somewhere, failed as a husband, failed as a friend, failed as a son. Because nobody tells you this when you're young. The world makes loneliness look shameful, as if your value depends on how many people need you, how many messages you receive, how many chairs are filled around your table. But age teaches you something painful. Some crowded rooms are lonelier than empty houses. I learned this too late. I remember sitting at a dinner table once with 6 people around me, everybody talking, everybody laughing, and yet I felt invisible. Nobody noticed the sadness in my eyes. Nobody asked if I was tired. Nobody asked what was hurting me. That was the moment I understood. Being alone and feeling alone are 2 completely different kinds of suffering. And if you do not learn how to live with yourself, silence will eat you alive. Most people realize this at 80, not 30. They spend their whole lives running from themselves, always needing noise, always needing validation, always needing someone beside them so they don't have to face the truth inside their own mind. But eventually life removes the distractions. Children grow up, friends disappear, partners change, some leave, some die, and one day it's just you and your thoughts, you and your memories, you and the person you became while nobody was watching. That moment breaks many people. I have seen strong men destroyed by an empty apartment. I have seen women cry themselves to sleep not because they were unloved, but because they never learned how to sit peacefully with themselves. Living alone is not the hard part. The hard part is meeting yourself honestly for the first time. And if you can survive that meeting, everything changes. I want to tell you the 5 things that saved me. Not books, not therapy slogans, not fake positivity. Real things, painful things, quiet things. The kind of wisdom life whispers to you after midnight when nobody is around to distract you anymore. The first thing, stop treating solitude like a wound. That mindset alone destroys millions of people. Every morning they wake up already feeling abandoned, already feeling rejected, already telling themselves a tragic story. I'm alone because nobody cares. I'm alone because I'm not enough. I'm alone because life forgot me. No, sometimes life isolates you so you can finally hear yourself think. There is a reason storms clear crowded streets. Silence reveals things noise cannot. When I was younger, I feared empty spaces. I always needed music playing, television running, people around, anything to avoid hearing my own thoughts. Because deep down, I knew there were truths waiting for me in silence. Truths about the life I settled for. Truths about people I kept around out of fear. Truths about dreams I abandoned because I wanted approval more than freedom. Solitude forced me to face all of it, and it hurt. God, it hurt. There were nights I sat in darkness remembering every moment I betrayed myself just to keep others comfortable. That kind of reflection changes a person. You begin to understand why some people cannot stand being alone for even 10 minutes. Because silence removes performance. No audience, no masks, no pretending, just truth, raw truth. But once you stop seeing solitude as punishment, something strange happens. Peace enters quietly. You stop begging the world to distract you. You start listening to yourself, really listening. And for the first time in your life, your inner voice stops sounding like an enemy. That changes everything. The second thing, protect your mind from emotional junk. Loneliness makes people vulnerable, very vulnerable. A lonely mind becomes hungry, hungry for attention, hungry for escape, hungry for anything that temporarily fills the emptiness. That is why so many lonely people destroy themselves slowly, not with dramatic decisions, with tiny daily poison, endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, fake friendships, toxic relationships, constant noise. Most people do not realize how dangerous desperation is. Desperate people invite chaos into their lives because silence feels unbearable. I did it too. After my wife passed away, the house became unbearable at night. Every object carried memories, her cup, her blanket, her voice still living inside the walls. So I started filling my days with nonsense, pointless television, people I did not even like, conversations that exhausted my soul. Anything to escape grief. But grief waits patiently. You cannot outrun yourself forever. One evening, I sat across from a man talking nonstop about money and gossip and status. And suddenly I realized something terrifying. I felt lonelier with him than I did sitting alone at home. That scared me, because it made me understand, not all company heals you. Some company drains your spirit slowly until you no longer recognize yourself. So I began protecting my peace aggressively. I became careful about what entered my mind, careful about who entered my home, careful about whose energy touched my life. And the older you get, the more you understand this truth. Peace is expensive. You pay for it with distance, with boundaries, with endings. Some people cannot access your new life because they only knew how to survive the old you. Living alone becomes beautiful the moment your home stops feeling like a prison and starts feeling like protection. That is when healing begins. The third thing changed me forever. Create small rituals that make life feel alive again. This sounds simple. It isn't, because loneliness slowly kills excitement first. Not your body, your spirit. You stop caring, you stop trying. You stop noticing mornings. Days blur together. 1 week becomes another. Then suddenly 10 years are gone. I have seen lonely people decay while still breathing. Not because they lacked money, not because they lacked intelligence, because they lost connection with aliveness itself. Nobody warns you about this. When humans stop feeling emotionally connected to life, they disappear internally long before death arrives. I remember a winter morning years ago, cold house, cold coffee, no messages, no plans. I sat there staring out the window thinking, so this is it. That dangerous sentence, so this is it. That is how surrender begins, quietly, slowly, one hopeless morning at a time. But something inside me resisted, not loudly, just a small voice saying, "No, not yet." So I made one tiny decision. Every morning I would walk before sunrise. That was it, simple. But those walks saved my life. I began noticing things again: birds, wind, the smell of rain, the sound of distant trains before dawn. Tiny details most people never see because they are too distracted by their own noise. And slowly, life returned. Not dramatically, quietly, like light entering a dark room one crack at a time. Then I added other rituals: cooking proper meals, reading slowly, writing thoughts down, watering plants, sitting in silence without rushing to escape it. These things sound small to young people, but old age teaches you something profound. A meaningful life is built from small sacred moments, not giant achievements, not applause, not status. Just moments that remind your soul it is still alive. Most people wait for happiness to arrive like a visitor. But peace is usually built through repetition, through care, through small daily acts of respect toward your own existence. Living alone becomes unbearable when your days have no soul inside them. But when you create rituals, even ordinary mornings begin to feel holy. The fourth thing is difficult, very difficult, but it changes everything once you understand it. Stop chasing people who are comfortable losing you. I wasted decades doing this, decades, trying to prove my worth to people who had already made peace with my absence. Calling first, giving more, apologizing first, over-explaining, over-loving, overstaying. Loneliness makes people tolerate disrespect they would normally never accept, because the fear of emptiness becomes stronger than self-respect. I know that feeling. You answer messages instantly because you fear being forgotten. You stay in one-sided relationships because partial love feels better than no love. You ignore obvious disrespect because at least someone is there. But listen carefully to me. Half love destroys the human spirit, slowly, quietly, brutally. There comes a point in life where you must ask yourself one painful question. Why am I fighting so hard to stay where I am barely valued? That question changed me. I remember sitting alone after another disappointment from someone I cared deeply about. Excuses, distance, coldness, effort only from my side. And suddenly I became exhausted, not angry, just tired. Tired of forcing connections, tired of begging emotionally, tired of shrinking myself so others would stay comfortable. That was the moment I understood something old age teaches brutally well. The right people do not make you feel unwanted consistently. And if someone repeatedly shows you your absence does not disturb them, believe them. People think letting go is dramatic. Usually it is quiet. You simply stop reaching, stop chasing, stop forcing. And at first, it hurts terribly, because empty space appears, silence appears, grief appears. But eventually something unexpected appears too: dignity, self-respect, freedom. You begin realizing loneliness is far less painful than constant emotional humiliation. Living alone became easier when I stopped seeing every empty chair as rejection. Some empty chairs are peace. Some closed doors are protection. And some endings save your soul quietly while your heart is still crying over them. The fifth thing, this one matters most. You must become someone you enjoy spending time with. Nobody tells young people this because youth survives on distraction, beauty, attention, romance, ambition, movement. But eventually all distractions weaken, and what remains is your relationship with yourself. That relationship determines whether solitude feels peaceful or terrifying. I know people surrounded by family who are miserable because they hate themselves internally. And I know people living completely alone who radiate peace because they built friendship with their own soul. I did not understand this until very late in life. For years I judged myself harshly. Every mistake haunted me. Every regret replayed endlessly. I spoke to myself with cruelty I would never use on another human being. And loneliness amplified that voice. When nobody else is around, your inner voice becomes your entire environment. Think about that carefully. If your inner voice is hateful, you will suffer everywhere, even in beautiful places. One evening I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the tired old man staring back at me. And for the first time, I felt compassion for him. Not pride, not admiration, compassion. I realized that man had survived things nobody knew about. Loss, fear, failure, loneliness, regret, disappointment. He carried invisible graves inside him, just like everybody else. That realization softened me. I stopped demanding perfection from myself. Stopped replaying old shame endlessly. Stopped treating myself like an enemy. And slowly, solitude stopped feeling cold, because I was no longer trapped with someone I hated. I became gentler with my own mind, more patient with my own healing, more forgiving toward my own humanity. Most people spend their whole lives searching for someone who understands them deeply. Very few become that person for themselves. That changes everything. Because once you enjoy your own company, desperation disappears. You stop tolerating toxic people just to avoid silence. You stop begging for attention. You stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. And strangely, people begin respecting you more. Because peace has a presence. Calm people carry a different energy. They do not cling. They do not chase. They do not panic when alone. And the world notices that. There is something else I need to tell you before I go. Living alone will reveal wounds you never knew existed. It will force hidden grief to surface. It will expose insecurities buried beneath years of distraction. There will be nights where memories hit like storms, nights where silence feels unbearably loud, nights where you question your entire life. That is normal. Do not run immediately. Stay there for a moment. Feel it honestly. Some pain must finally be felt before it leaves. I learned this too late. Healing is not always beautiful. Sometimes it looks like sitting quietly in a dark room, realizing the life you wanted will never happen exactly the way you imagined. Sometimes it looks like grieving people who are still alive. Sometimes it looks like forgiving yourself for becoming someone survival required. But if you stay long enough, something powerful happens. You stop fearing yourself. And when a human being no longer fears being alone, they become dangerous in the most beautiful way. Because now they choose people from peace, not desperation. They live from truth, not performance. They stop begging life for constant distraction. And for the first time, they are actually free. I am an old man now. I have watched people spend entire lifetimes terrified of solitude, terrified of quiet, terrified of facing themselves honestly. And in the end, many of them died without ever truly meeting their own soul. That is the real tragedy, not loneliness, disconnection from yourself. So if you are alone right now, do not panic. Do not rush to fill every silence. Do not mistake solitude for failure. Some seasons of isolation are preparing you for a deeper life, a more honest life, a peaceful life. And one day you may sit quietly with a cup of coffee, no noise, no chaos, no desperate need for attention, and suddenly realize something that changes everything. You are no longer lonely. You are finally at peace.